VoyageVault presents the history behind the Parthenon. Welcome viewers. Today we'll be exploring one of the most iconic ancient structures in the world, the Parthenon in Athens, Greece. We open with a sweeping view of this temple's enormous columns and pediments, still standing proudly after thousands of years. The Parthenon is a masterpiece of ancient architecture, and we'll uncover the fascinating history behind its construction, its significance for Greek society and culture, its preservation over the centuries, and the efforts being made today to maintain this UNESCO World Heritage Site. What compelling stories lie within these calcite limestone walls? What crucial role did the Parthenon play in Greece's Golden Age? We'll discover all this and more in today's voyage through the history of Athens' crown jewel, the Parthenon. Join us as we unlock the marvels of this ancient Greek monument. Introduction to the Parthenon. Perched majestically atop the Acropolis of Athens, Greece, the Parthenon is one of the world's most iconic ancient monuments. This temple to the goddess Athena was built between 447 and 432 BCE, during Greece's Golden Age under the leadership of Pericles. It was constructed on the site of two earlier temples also dedicated to Athena, signaling the importance of this goddess to the ancient Greeks. The Parthenon was built to house a large gold and ivory statue of Athena Parthenos, the patron goddess of Athens. Athena was the goddess of wisdom, courage and law and justice. She was seen as the protectress and namesake of the city itself. The massive temple was meant to be a physical embodiment of Athena's power and a striking proclamation of Athens' strength. The Parthenon represents the pinnacle of ancient Greek architecture. Its aesthetic perfection and harmonious proportions encapsulate the mathematical philosophy that underpinned much Greek art and thinking. The soaring columns, elaborate carvings and lifelike frieze encapsulate the humanistic spirit of classical Greece. Through its ornate beauty and grandeur, the Parthenon aimed to celebrate the artistic, political and cultural triumphs of Pericles' Athens. Greek architecture is characterized by sophistication, harmony and perspective. This is seen clearly in the Parthenon's stylistic elements. Its tall, slender Ionic columns are fluted with parallel grooves and have an inward tilt, giving the impression the temple is indestructibly solid yet somewhat elastic. The pediment sculptures depict famous mythical battles and were among the greatest artistic achievements of the era. The metopes along the four sides of the exterior depicted epic battles between Greeks and Amazons, centaurs, giants and during the Trojan War. The most renowned sections are the 160-meter-long frieze that ran around the upper walls of the temple's central chamber, or cella. This depicts Athens' Panathenaic procession, held each year in honor of Athena. The frieze's lifelike renderings of horses, warriors, animals and over 375 human figures in motion is considered a masterpiece of classical art. By the time it was completed, the Parthenon comprised over 20,000 tons of Pentelic marble and had cost what would today equate to over $1 billion. Despite its expense, the opulence of the temple reflected Athens' economic might following its victory over Persia. The Parthenon's construction also represented the pinnacle of classical Doric architecture, showcasing Athenian cultural power and artistic sophistication as Greece entered its Golden Age. Architectural marvel. The Parthenon stands as testament to the incredible architectural and engineering capabilities of the ancient Greeks. This temple was designed in the Doric order, the simplest of the three Greek architectural styles. Doric columns are fluted and have no base. They are topped with a smooth capital and simple square abacus. This styling was reserved for male gods, giving the Parthenon a sturdy, masculine aesthetic. Yet despite its structural simplicity, the Parthenon contains ingenious optical illusions that enhance its size, strength and aesthetic perfection. The columns have entasis, a subtle outward bulge along their height to counter the illusion of concavity when viewed from below. The stylobate, or platform on which the columns stand, is not flat but subtly curved to allow rainwater runoff. The columns also tilt ever so slightly inwards, with the corners angled to match. This visual trickery makes the Parthenon appear perfectly rectilinear from a human perspective. The Parthenon's inner cellar walls were constructed using an intricate system of limestone beams slotted across the width to support the roof. This allowed the exterior colonnades and pediment sculptures to be made from pure marble, showcasing Greek mastery of stonemasonry techniques. Over 10,000 tons of Pentelic marble was mined from Mount Pentelicon near Athens and transported 16 kilometers to the Acropolis. Each pristine block was carved with precision to interlock perfectly without any mortar. The ancient Greek architects Iktinos and Callicrates oversaw the Parthenon's design and construction. The legendary sculptor Phidias is credited with designing the temple's elaborate sculptural program. The pediment figures were carved in situ, while the metope and frieze reliefs were carved off-site then affixed into place. The workmanship of these carvings is considered some of the highest achievement of classical art. Building the Parthenon took around 15 years and required vast resources. While slave labor was used for quarrying marble, Greek citizens did the skilled work of construction. The cost is estimated as 469 silver talents, equal to over 4,600 kilograms of valuable metal. Pericles spared no expense to create a temple that reflected the dominance and sophistication of Athens. The Parthenon's architectural grandeur relies not just on its sheer size, but on the refinement, rationality and human scale of its construction. Every proportion and detail shows the harmony, order and sense of proportion that the ancient Greeks revered. This reflects their belief that mathematical physics represented spiritual perfection. Even today, the Parthenon's structural excellence stands as a testament to Greece's golden age. Historical significance. The Parthenon stands as an enduring symbol of ancient Greece's golden age and the height of classical Athenian culture. Its construction was decreed by statesman Pericles during the mid-5th century BCE as Athens rose to become the center of an empire following victory over Persia. Pericles sought to transform Athens into the political and artistic heart of Greece. The Parthenon project provided work and stimulated the economy while transforming the Acropolis into a display of Athenian power. Pericles summoned the architects Iktinos and Callicrates and the sculptor Phidias to design a monument that would represent the triumph and superiority of Athenian democracy, culture and intellect. The Parthenon soon came to signify everything Pericles envisioned for Athens during this era. Its sheer scale and opulence reflected the wealth flowing into Athenian coffers from its imperial holdings. The harmony and rationality of the architecture signified the order and coherence of society under democracy. And the elaborate mythological carvings illustrated the cultural sophistication of an Athens at its zenith. Over the centuries, the meaning and purpose ascribed to the Parthenon shifted along with Athens' fortunes. It remained an intact temple to Athena for over 1,000 years. In the 5th century CE, it was converted into a Christian church and Athena's statue replaced by one of the Virgin Mary. When Greece fell under Ottoman rule in the 15th century, the Parthenon was converted into a mosque. The interior was reworked to suit its new religious purpose. Despite these changes, the Parthenon's symbolic power persisted as a reminder of past Greek glories. After independence, Greece looked to ancient Athenian democracy as inspiration for forging their new national identity. Restoration of the Acropolis and Parthenon was closely entwined with reconnecting to Hellenic heritage. Efforts in the 19th and 20th centuries sought to return the site to its former glory. Today, the Parthenon remains central to Greece's sense of historical continuity and Athenian identity. It provides a tangible link to the classical era origins of Western culture. While only a fragment of the original, its partial reconstruction allows people to connect to ideas of Athenian democracy, philosophy and drama that still resonate. Standing on the Acropolis evokes a sense of continuity with the ancients who also looked in awe at this marvel of human achievement. The Parthenon's mystique also shines globally as a universal symbol of human civilization. It demonstrates the advanced accomplishments possible even in ancient times. Both the building itself and the democratic society that created it have inspired reverence throughout history. The Parthenon's archetypal architecture and aesthetic perfection inspired multiple neoclassical revival moments. It remains the ultimate emblem of Athens, Greece, and the pinnacle of cultural heritage. Cultural and religious importance. The Parthenon was built first and foremost as a temple to venerate the goddess Athena, who held immense religious and cultural importance to the Athenians. Athena was the patron deity of Athens, and it was her favor that was credited with granting the Greeks victory over the Persians. According to myth, she competed against the sea god Poseidon to be patron of the city. She provided the olive tree as a gift to the people, while Poseidon offered salt water. The gift of the olive tree was deemed wiser, and Athena was selected. The prominence of Athena's cult was intertwined with Athens' growing political importance. As democracy flourished, so too did reverence for their patron goddess, who embodied wisdom, justice, and law. The sheer size, beauty, and costliness of the Parthenon was a testament to Athena's stature and the gratitude of the Athenian people. The elaborate sculptural program that adorned the Parthenon further honored Athena through artistic glorification. The east pediment depicted Athena's birth from the head of Zeus. The west pediment showed Athena battling Poseidon to determine the patron of Athens. Statues of Athena also featured prominently throughout the temple grounds. The Parthenon's most significant remaining sculptures are the Parthenon marbles, taken to Britain in the 1800s by Lord Elgin and now on display in the British Museum. This includes over half of the 160-meter frieze depicting the Panathenaic procession, considered one of the high points of Greek art. This carved relief sculpture showed the grand procession held every 4 years to celebrate Athena's birthday and display offerings at the altar. Young men led animals for sacrifice, magistrates carried gifts, musicians played, and young women bore ritual offerings in an archetypal ancient religious festival. The British refusal to repatriate these marbles remains controversial. Supporters argue they promoted conservation and public access, while critics say it's imperialist looting. Greece contends these integral artworks belong in their original cultural context. The debate continues over where they can be best preserved while honoring their religious and cultural significance. In ancient times, the Parthenon hosted the many religious rituals of Athena's cult. As well as housing her monumental statue, it staged animal sacrifices, libations, votive offerings, festivals, and other rites devoted to the goddess. When it was converted to a church, Athens' Christian population continued worshipping there during key celebrations. Even in today's secular times, the Parthenon stands as an icon of Athenian identity. While no longer a practicing temple, it evokes reflection on the religious devotion that underpinned classical Athens. The longevity of this single structure connects the Greeks of today with their mythic past and the importance of Athena to all facets of ancient society. Preservation and legacy. Despite its grandeur, the Parthenon has faced significant threats and damage over the millennia. Yet preservation efforts have enabled this architectural treasure to endure as a symbol of cultural heritage. The greatest blow came in 1687, when a Venetian army besieged the Acropolis during war with the Ottoman Empire. A powder magazine stored in the Parthenon exploded, destroying much of the interior and rupturing the structural integrity. Several columns, metopes, pediment statues, and large portions of the north wall were obliterated. Further looting of sculptures occurred under Lord Elgin's controversial removal of the marbles in the early 1800s. By the late 19th century, the deteriorating site was being haphazardly restored. Low-quality repairs using improper materials caused more damage. A new archaeological committee took charge, aiming to return the site to its original 5th century BCE glory. Steel supports were added to stabilize ruins, along with partial reassembly of remaining architecture and statuary. Preservation efforts continue today to counteract weathering, vandalism, and pollution. Laser cleaning and restoration of original marble joins are recent initiatives. There are significant challenges given the Parthenon's age, structural issues, and previous poor interventions. The Greek government collaborates with archaeologists and organizations worldwide to steward best practices using modern technology. The Parthenon holds deep meaning as human heritage worth preserving. In 1987, The Acropolis became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. UNESCO describes it as the supreme expression of the adaptation of architecture to the natural landscape and a monument to the apogee of the democratic ideal in classical Athens. World Heritage status highlights the global value of protecting this iconic monument. The Parthenon's architectural and artistic significance has reverberated through history. During the Renaissance and neoclassical periods, study of classical ruins inspired imitation in new constructions. Art and architecture sought to recapture the proportion, symmetry and harmonious beauty of ancient Greek buildings. The Parthenon's form became an idealized aesthetic template, imbuing modern designs with echoes of Greece's glory days. Indeed, the US Capitol, White House and other neoclassical buildings directly reference the Parthenon's architectural style. Both ancient and reconstructed sections have been extensively studied by architects and serve as touchstones for principles of form, technique and acoustics that still astound today. Though damaged, the Parthenon endures majestically atop the Acropolis, continuing to represent the cultural heights reached by classical Greek civilization. It remains a beacon of Athens' history and identity. The ongoing efforts to preserve this temple recognize its immense value, not just for Greece but for humanity's shared cultural heritage worldwide. The Parthenon stands as an icon of ancient Greek society, art, architecture, and religious life. In this video, we explored the construction, meaning, and preservation of this magnificent temple. We discovered how the Parthenon exemplified the cultural pinnacle of Athens' golden age under Pericles. Even with damage accrued over millennia, this temple remains a breathtaking marvel of human achievement. The efforts to maintain this UNESCO heritage site recognize its irreplaceable value. If you enjoyed learning about the history behind the Parthenon, be sure to subscribe to VoyageVault for more content exploring the world's wonders.